Welcome back to Decade, the game where we are trapped in a bunker with 3 children who are no longer children because I keep sending them back in time, and every time I send them back, they age 10 years. And we are trying to change the future so that our present is not so bleak. Last time, we spent 40 minutes learning about the past. Now, we're going to try to change some things. But I was dinking around, and I realized that we had unlocked some different themes. So we're on default right now. We could change the theme to Nerolian, and it gives us different music. And we also have vetiverism, which is this violent sort of nastiness. And then I can change the background as well. Like, this game is sweet. I don't know that I like vetiverism. That's going to be the first thing I try to change, is try to not get there to be a time of the vetiverus. So let's enjoy this music while we can. What's a good background for the vetiverus? This one. The nice red, weird... Yeah, that's perfect. All right. Whew. So the first thing we should do is probably... Let's just go crazy with it. Let's try and use our violent Jag to... Well, how is he going to kill Nerolianism? Thought there was going to be a way to stop... Raro Hig. Maybe we try to have Jag kill Raro Hig. Okay, so who was Raro Hig? Raro Hig was the guy who was kind of violent. He wanted to encourage people to kill themselves. That's my thinking, that, like, we want to kill the violent people. That's probably a bad idea because, you know, with the butterfly effect... I would expect this to be much more complicated than just the violent named guy we know about caused violence in the future. Like, that's not how the world works. But I'm kind of having fun imagining that this is going to work. So let's just do it. Let's send Jag back to kill Raro Hig. And I have high hopes that we will no longer have a time of the vetiverists. Oh, Jag, you look well. I enjoyed it. It was a happy time. There was energy and an optimism for the future, a sense that things were getting better all the time. Felt very strange to be the only person who knew that things wouldn't. I think we heard this from Mons, right? What did you do? I didn't need to do much to survive. There was so much opportunity in production. Yeah, this is exactly what Mons told us. What did you learn? It's hard to learn anything, right? And this is where we learned about Raro Hig. Did he succeed? That's what we need to know. We haven't seen evidence of it, but then again, it could have occurred after this decade at some point with all memory of it removed in Nerolian fashion. The Nerolians like to destroy the past. You had an effect on the timeline, it seems. A good one? Whoa. Yeah. Well, there's a density of fauna around the bunker. That's the good news. There's flowers of death, apparently. Strange. Plant life seems to be thriving despite dramatically different atmosphere. The air is full of toxins. Yeah. Yeah, there don't seem to be any signs of sentient life outside. Can we leave? No. I think it would be better for us to try to change things again. Yes. Let's see what happened. How do I get out of Jag? Click on him. All right, so no more vetiverisms. Well, I guess we have a little bit more vetiverism until we see what's happening over here. Wow, okay. I don't know. I don't know. Let's send Ula. She's young. If you can retrieve enough information on such events as astral events, sonic parameters, and environmental idiosyncrasies, you can send a... Okay. Whoa! Psychic wound added to inventory. Drug lab added to inventory. Interesting. Alright, tell me what you found, Ula. Everywhere I went, there were masses of people, crowds, their individuality, their complexity, their humanity, gone, perhaps forever. So it is pretty much vetiverism, huh? Civilization had become a backdrop, an empty ritual, the meaning of which was lost. Well, what was the problem exactly? I guess this is like the end result of Nerolianism. Like the Nerolians were very focused on building the civilization, but then their descendants were just living in it without purpose. Is that what I'm hearing, Ula? I spent a lot of time thinking about the problem. Personally, I think in the time I visited, it was too little too late, but with the benefit of hindsight, some thinkers had convincing arguments for what had gone wrong. There was one about humanity's psychic wound. Then there was another very controversial notion about the sanctity of human life, one that suggested overpopulation was inevitable but needn't be detrimental, and another that proposed it as a self-correcting problem. Do I want to get into overpopulation? I don't really care. Let's talk about the sanctity of human life. Do you remember when you used to kill? I did it to protect us. We would never have found this place otherwise. I'm haunted by those memories. Don't remind me, Ula. I know. Back then, people don't think like that, however. To them, nothing is more sacred than a human life. To murder is the ultimate sin, and death is their greatest fear. Even as the signs of strain appear all around them, they throw all their energies into prolonging life. They're unhealthy, but demand that the sick be healed. They admit living is misery, but insist nobody should die. They see the strain on resources, but insist on rationing supply rather than demand. I can understand why they think that. I like that a lot better than the Veravidism that we're listening to right now. Me too. Anyway, some people suggested that this quite fundamental idea was the problem. This sounds like nonsense. Tell me about the psychic wound theory. Wait. Maybe I should have had her go on. Maybe it's not nonsense. All right, what's the psychic wound you were talking about? That you brought back with you? This one is interesting. The writer who articulated it developed a cult following, and his murder only made it grow. It seemed to be gaining even more steam just before I left, though I guess it didn't amount to anything. Go on. It goes like this. For thousands, tens of thousands of years, humans lived with the unknown. This is why, he argued, humans developed curiosity, an appetite for risk, a sense of adventure. Yeah, I agree with this. However, I think I see the danger, which is that curiosity can kill the cat. But this is quite interesting, I suppose. The problem then was that the world as it was back then was entirely mapped, catalogued, documented, and known. He thought that this was such a profound loss for humans that he called it the psychic wound. Did he have a solution? Yes, though after his death it was interpreted and reinterpreted into various ideas such as transcendence and new languages, which people argued about constantly. Essentially, however, his solution was simple. Space. I was gonna say that before I read it. Oh well. You guys believe me. The only thing which could satisfy humanity's physical, psychological, and spiritual need was to begin exploring beyond the planet, he believed. I don't think that's the only thing that could satisfy humanity's physical, psychological, and spiritual need. Alright, no more theories. Tell me, do you remember when we were outside before we found this place? Of course I do. It was like a year ago. 3 years ago? I forget. Do you remember how many of us there were? Why are you thinking about this, Ula? Do you remember Ano? Yes. Why did you kill her? If I hadn't, we would all be dead, not just our group, but humanity itself. How? Could not keep all of you alive. Better a quick death than the rain tearing you to pieces. This is hard. Maybe. I'm sorry, Ula. I'm sorry. Alright, well, let's explore the unknown time with, let's see, Mons is the youngest. Let's send her. Oh, the past 10 years have been quite depressing, I can tell you that for a start. In what way, Mons? It's a civilization in decline, and though everyone can feel something is wrong, a lot of them don't even realize it yet. What sort of decline? By almost every metric, society was getting worse. Primarily concerned with the territorial. That? Wow. Okay. I find this a very relevant critique of society, right? Like, we're so concerned with what's ours and being selfish, and we lose our sensitivity to other things that matter. Many groups were beginning to emerge from the chaos, claiming to have answers. Bergamists, Cedarists, Vedaverists even. Yep. How did you cope with it? I became a criminal. It was the only way to retain some dignity in such a time. The experience made me question the fundamental idea of a society. Perhaps they always either crumble or crush the people within them. Don't you reckon? No, societies can work. They just need to be managed well. No. Seeing the past on such a scale, I'm beginning to realize there are natural forces nobody can stop, just like you always told us. Do you think we can influence this time period? Maybe, but I think we are better off looking elsewhere for ways to create a better world. This timeline is hopeless. King Adam the 17th, there's something you should know. They're so polite to always refer to me by my honorific. It's a subtle point, hard to explain, but people aren't like us. What do you mean, Mons? They're weak and petty. They're incapable of making bonds, even remotely as strong as ours. Are you all right? I don't know. I felt so lonely. Would you hold me? You're 38 and I'm like 15, right? Okay. Well, okay, this doesn't seem very promising. Let's look at now. Nature corrects what humans cannot. So we have to stop there from being overpopulation. Oh, yeah, it's because we killed Riru Hig. All right, so we don't want to kill Riru Hig. He was actually important. Let's change this to a Nerolian theme. And can we change the Great Smothering? Maybe we can collect some pre-smothering artifacts using the Violent Jack. No. Ula's sensitivity can help us. All right, before we do this, we got to look at the psychic wound in the drug lab in our inventory here. Psychic wound. All right, throughout history, across thought and practice, man has been regarded as many things. Political animal, a tool maker, an assortment of humors, a biological computer, the universe comprehending itself. Long ago, pre-smothering, there were a people whose name I am not allowed to write, and their doctrine was the following. Do that which has not been done. Destroy that which exists. Create what does not. Right? This is Nerolianism. It's an uncensored version of his most controversial work. He's an exiled author. What's left to explore? Right. And what was the conclusion? The conclusion is space, right? To go to space. I don't see how this led to overpopulation. What's the drug lab about? Personal device worn around the forearm, capable of synthesizing and injecting various chemicals to help the wearer maintain a certain mood or induce other states of consciousness. All right, well, that sounds interesting. Great job, Jag. Right? Or no, Mons. Great job. Yeah, okay. That didn't change anything. Let's send Ula back to learn... take or learn from pre-smothering artifacts. Decade. Nothing changed? I need help. Do you have any ideas on what to do during the Great Smothering? I think the goal should be to find the variables we need so that we can get to an era before it. Perhaps, but how? Maybe I need to send someone with the right characteristics, the right qualities, huh? Someone with a little higher determination, you little sensitive girl. She's 41 now, I guess. No, that won't do you no good. I was diligent enough. I believe you need something else. Then what? Well, all that pre-smothering information hidden away in attics and cellars might emerge much later, perhaps, if Nerolianism deteriorates enough for it to become acceptable. Or it might simply be a question of power. Yeah, okay, power? People are quite happy during the smothering. There was lots of activities and freedom, but the wealthy and powerful still have control, as in any centralized society. If we can't find what we need by simply visiting the time as a regular person, then maybe whoever I send can become wealthy and powerful enough to find it among the pre-smothering artifacts. 10 years is a long time, long enough to build an empire. Whoever goes again will need something to help them become powerful, wealthy really, something to give them an edge. Information. I think we have something that could work. The drug lab thing? I mean, that surely would get him rich, right? He better not lose it, though. Let's subvert. Wait, what do we have to do to get rich? Yeah, maybe this one to take pre-smothering artifacts. I guess I'll just try this. Why not? Let's see. Sentient life outside? Nobody at all? Can we leave? Nothing changed. I need help. Do you have any ideas on what to do during the Great Smothering? I think the goal should be to find the variables we need so that we can get to an era before it. Perhaps, but how? It's almost impossible. He did everything he could to find. There must be something. Yeah, this is the same thing. Yeah, whoever I send can become wealthy and powerful enough. That's what I tried to do. I think we have something that could work. I can't think of anything that would help me get rich. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, here we go. The stack of newspapers. It gives information on disasters, events, and culture. We can use it to predict what's coming up next. All right, Mons, you know you're smart enough and determined enough to use this, right? Can you do it, Mons? Can you use these stack of newspapers? Let's find out. These kids are just getting old for nothing. Ooh, it changed. You did it. The timeline changed. Mons, my girl. Great. Well done. Thanks. How did it go? Well, very well indeed. A little slow at first. I didn't have the resources to do much. Societies can be like that. But I befriended many talented people I knew would become influential. I played the stock market, took out a few patents, accumulated quite an amount of wealth and connections in just a few years. Then the fun really began. What'd you do next? Oh, we should have sent back someone sensitive. She's kind of like, oof. Yeah, she didn't help, did she? I formed a large corporation. It gave me quite a bit of leverage over every aspect of society. I never lost my focus on the task, though, despite a lot of lavish distractions. I didn't mind killing to achieve my goals, of course, but people back then aren't so comfortable with that. Still, I was among the very upper echelons, able to pull favors and strings and deals with anyone. Alright, I don't need to hear any more about that. Did you manage to use your position to learn anything? I did. Go on, Mons. I formed a secret society, an exclusive club dedicated to the collecting, trading, and discussion of pre-smothering artifacts. Turns out that when you can buy anything in the world, only the forbidden can excite you. Mons, why did I send the unsensitive Mons back? She's kind of turning into a sociopath. I was scared for my life at first. That sort of thing was highly illegal. But I got into the rhythm of it quickly. It was actually a lot of fun. It wasn't all fun, though. I had to take care of a few people. I had to track down a forger and get rid of him. Also, I had a competitor for a while, but I took care of him too, and took his whole operation over at the same time. Everyone, even the super powerful guys, were on their toes with me. Alright, what's the name of the secret society? The King Adam the 17th Club. Ha! I knew you'd like that. We gathered quite a few artifacts and documents in the club. Cedarists, who were pretty insular themselves, loved it. They're obsessed with history, particularly their own ancestry, and they tended to occupy fairly powerful positions. Alright, what did you actually learn? Well, we got the variables needed to travel back to a time before the smothering, but as for what actually happened, some believed that before the smothering there had been the most terrible conflict. Others believed that it had been a time of incredible cultural stimulation. What do you think? I think we're all getting older, and I don't mind not knowing everything that happened in the past if it means I'll get to experience a better future. Well, let's see what the future is like, girl. Siren slaves? The world appears to be functioning, but under a strange kind of mind control. A significant amount of women appear to have become sirens, enslaved to unseen powers, and capable of inducing mental states in the rest of the population. Mons, what did you do? Alright, so we have a whole bunch of other places to go, but I really want to go back. I assume this is like pre-smothering, right? 375 BCE. All right, let's send the violent Jack back. No, he's an Nerolian. I don't want to infuse his Nerolian tendencies into the people back here. Let's send Ula back with her sensitivity. What happened? I mean, it has to be before, even though that year doesn't say like 375, before the smothering. I have so much to tell you, King Adam the 17th. Even though I was there for 10 years, I still can't make sense of most of it. We'll figure it out together. Well, people became more and more antagonistic towards each other as the decade went on, culminating in a huge crisis. Things were very tense since the world had only just emerged from a dreadful war, and it had looked like things were getting better. Philosophy like Nerolianism, Cedarism, and Pachulianism had blossomed in the emptiness of the post-war period. Everybody's greatest fear was another war. Huh. Yeah, that's surprising. So all these philosophies we've discovered come from before the smothering? Yeah, I guess things like vetiverism found a way of surviving the smothering, re-emerging when Nerolian society was weakened. I believe many of them were formed after the war, and with a sense of constructive positivity. The war had decimated the global population, reducing it to a tiniest fraction of what it had been, from billions to the very low millions, perhaps less. Imagine, cities that had been teeming with life now carrying just 1 or 2 families. Huh. None of them were confined to a tiny bunker. There weren't toxic rains that tore the flesh off you. They were surrounded by rubble and rust, but also abundance, abandoned civilization, wildlife, food growing everywhere. They were like gods. There were some indications that certain ideas might have begun during or even before the war, however. Some said vetiverism developed from the remnants of a particular army, or that Cedarists had a lineage that went back even further. What did you learn about this war? Nobody really knew much, despite everybody feeling its effects so deeply. Nobody was even sure how long it had lasted, 5 or 500 years. Go on. The farther back you look, the more confusing it becomes. Some people even argued that the cause of war was that the world actually lacked definition. That, in fact, prior to the war, people had mixed freely, cared little for religions, politics, and ideas, that they had severed their attachments to all things, and that a following generation felt a pathological urge to re-establish such distinctions in the most violent, sudden, and conclusive manner possible. Jeez, come on, people. The cause of the war was that there was no war, that they were living in utopia, and so the only thing they could do was to kill everyone. All right. Big part of the problem, you see, is that, well, they say winners get to write history, but there wasn't really a winner of this war. Certain peoples, armies, causes that we probably know nothing of were eradicated entirely, but even the ones still surviving were heavily damaged and depleted, ruined spiritually as much as physically. I want to know more about the philosophies. I still know nothing about anything except Nerolianism and vetiverism. Whoa, that's a lot. Oof. Can you tell me? Let's see. Let's talk about the ones that we've heard most of. Cedarism. Cedarists were somewhat odd and duplicitous. They wanted only power and did whatever was most expedient to get it. Many called them a criminal organization, a cult, a cabal, or some kind of aristocracy. There was perhaps truth and fiction to all these names. Their actions were one of the main causes of the smothering. I thought it was Nerolians that were the main cause of the smothering. They did survive past the smothering, of course. Alright, they wanted only power. Okay, so the Cedarists are the power mongers. Is that the word for it? What about the Pachulians? That's a new one that you just told us about. Pachulianism was a kind of spiritual, emotional, primal worship, or perhaps faith. It was deeply fatalistic, complex, and some would say chaotic. Their ability to interpret anything as a signal, coupled with a sense of righteous justification for any action that comes from devout faith, made them extremely unpredictable and disruptive. I feel like these could be the most dangerous to our timeline, because if you're just doing stuff because of faith without anything rational behind it, you see why you can get some sirens controlling the world, or some death of flowers, or metal rain. Anyways, but I'm just gonna keep going. Bergamism. We've heard of bergamism. I read like 2 words from a pamphlet they sent out and was like, I like bergamism. Let's see if that if that flies. Bergamists aimed to understand as much as they could about the human mind. That doesn't tell me that much. Some believed in magic, and they agreed that man by nature is a religious animal. Does that mean like religion is the opiate of the masses, or that like there is a god? Are they pro-religion or anti-religion? That quote doesn't answer that. Anyways, but yeah, okay, I like them. They're rationalists. I think they've been my favorite philosophy so far. Let's learn about Rosarians and Lavenderists, I guess. Rosians first. The Rosians weren't really a group in any sense. They had no structure and acted as individuals. They were dedicated to making the world aesthetically and sonically beautiful and stimulating. Often to the extent of sacrificing all other things. They were the cause of many problems. They killed each other often over disputes, desecrated each other's work, or even their own. I want to send someone back with Bergamist art to subvert the Rosians. Fascinating. All right, Lavenderism. Lavenderism was about the pursuit of sensual pleasure. Over time, their philosophy became a strange combination of ritualistic concepts and unbridled pleasure-seeking. All right, so hedonism. Lavenderism is hedonism. I see. All right, and then these other ones I haven't heard of. Oh, just one I haven't clicked on yet, or learned about yet. The Anesians. To them, technology was not just a way of making life easier and more full, but an avenue towards transcendence. Eventually, they became quite influential among other groups. The Anesians struggled to keep their own principles intact among so much external interest. Oh, sorry, I actually didn't internalize any of that. All right, technology. Okay. I wonder if the Anesians were responsible for that drug lab that we found. All right. And then to close this out, let's see what Ula says about Nerolianism and Vetiverism. Yeah, I think we know a bit about Nerolianism already. Before the Smothering and their dominance, the Nerolians were quite well respected amongst all other groups for their honesty, directness, and competence. Yeah, they sound great. No wonder they ended up dominating. All right, last one, Vetiverism. Veterists believed that the fundamental truth of all things is strength. They felt that a hierarchy based on anything but strength was a distortion and was always proved transient ultimately. All right, I feel like I understand them. I think what I concluded last episode about the Vetiveris holds up. They started out as more ideological, right? Because this makes sense. Might makes right is a rational philosophy. And it's a reason why I would say being rational is not always a good thing. But then later on, it became more about evolution and culling the gene pool of weakness, right? Anyways, that's enough of ideas. Oh no, we still got to talk about what went wrong during Ula's decade after the war. There were multiple scandals and conflicts that grew in frequency and scale. Murderous disputes among the Rosians and their willingness to destroy things, for instance. Within a span of 2 years, several major incidents created the feeling of a crisis point which needed to be resolved. The Vetiveris takeover of Zudi, the Cedarist Eternity scandal, the Cymatic disturbance, and the new Camporus. Okay, there's so much. Was this crisis point the reason for Nerolian domination afterwards? Yes. People were afraid of another vast and senseless conflict, of losing what little they had built. Ironic, considering the Nerolians destroyed it all anyways. The Nerolians had some very charismatic leaders, Pierre Cody, for instance. Many other groups arrogantly thought they could survive Nerolian dominance. Others blended Nerolian ideas with their own. We saw that with the Vetiveris, for example. Their values of strength as truth were stripped down and refined to their extreme, killing as virtue. That is exactly what happened. That makes so much sense. The Nerolians had a decent thing going, but their extreme focus is dangerous when combined with other philosophies. Good work, Ula. What will you do? This is definitely a critical time. I think we might be able to do something here. We should be able to change the timeline here. Let's just look. Wow. Okay, so this is where we just sent Ula to, right? Yep. So what's this then? The excess, an explosion of creativity like some universal exhalation. And then the final war excites. It says natural is peace. And now we brought back a whole bunch of artifacts from this time, such as photos. Ooh, look at those photos. I don't know what those mean. And then these last 4 things in my inventory here, starting with Dunn's letters. And I have read this off screen so that I wouldn't have to worry, because it's so much. It's so much. I started recording myself reading it, and it just took like 15 minutes. So I'm going to summarize it for you. Ger Conk and Dun Slia appear to both be Cedarists. Sarah is a Cedarist honorific, right? Like Sir or Mr. The Honorable Ger, if you will. Anyways, Dun Slia is imprisoned for crimes against humanity, and Ger Conk appears to be a leader of the Cedarists. The Cedarists are a philosophy that I kind of forget why, but I just dismiss them as evil. But some interesting things come out of this conversation. Luntini is a Cedarist who the imprisoned person thinks is awful. Well, they both think he's awful. He's kind of cozying up with the Nerolians who are going through the Great Smothering, and Luntini plans on subverting their Great Smothering ideas. And yeah, we don't want a Cedarist to do that. Anyways, this last one from the imprisoned person is a very fascinating call. First of all, the imprisoned guy has taken up correspondence with Bergamus, which is my preferred philosophy, I think. They're the nice guys, it seems like. Maybe they're not so nice. You know, kind of like nice guys are in modern times. But I don't know. They seem the best. So he says, don't kill Pierre Cody, the Nerolian in charge of the Great Smothering, and don't kill Luntini, the Cedarist who is subverting that, because he's obviously mere element to a greater collective. Anyways, the leader of the Cedarists says, is that it? You give me platitudes? You're crazy. And then Dunn, what's his name? I forget. The imprisoned guy says, it's a code, you moron. You have the letter now with its final 2 paragraphs. The first... Though it is probably too late. All right, so the letter now with its final 2 paragraphs. Let's see if we can figure out the code in the final 2 paragraphs of this that have something to do with the first What about the first letters? B-L-A-M-E, blame, P-I-R, blame, Pierre. Pierre Cody is the one responsible for the Great Smothering. So, despite his saying do not kill Pierre Cody, I believe the code is kill Pierre Cody, not Luntini. I believe that's what the Cedarist is telling us. Now, whether or not it's worth trusting a Cedarist, I don't know. But thought that was interesting, and I thought that was pretty exciting that I was able to solve that code. All right, Cody's speech, Pierre Cody, the one who we blame, but I don't think that's super important. We got a newspaper from Infinite Coast to Majestic Mountain, and this was super interesting because the Library of Moravi is a Bergamist project. Moravi is a crossroads city, and the library becomes a wonderful practical representation for the sharing of knowledge to all. And apparently, I mean, I assume it's destroyed during the Great Smothering until we change that, which is kind of my goal, I think. So let's see. Yeah, the Bergamot leader Foss Attil, worth keeping in mind. We can go learn from him, help him maybe. He says that there's enough room for information to exist and the Nerolian to ignore it. Only an extremist would claim otherwise. So the Great Smothering was due to extremists claiming that they need to destroy the information, right? It's not enough to ignore it. And then the Buddha line, which is the main headline, is just a train line, and I don't really see the importance of that. So I think we can probably just ignore that. I don't know. Rosian's schematic looks pretty interesting. It's a strange set of musical studies conducted by Rosian and Bergamist couple. I like those Bergamists. The Rosians are the technological group. Anyways, the results could be far more profound if certain technologies were available to them. I don't know how to make that help. I guess we could give this schematic to someone who is technological. But I think I'm ready to... let's first look what we can do in the past. We can seed a new ideology, which is cool. We could possibly give the Rosian schematic to the Rosians to help them, but I don't think I want to do that yet. I think I want to go back to the time that I've already been in and learn from the Library of Moravi with... Maybe we send back the psychic wound so that the Bergamists know how serious the Nerolians are about this Great Smothering thing. Let's send Mons back with a psychic wound to take from the Library of Moravi. And then, if we want to, we'll send Ula back to learn from Foss Attil, the leader of the Bergamists, perhaps. I'm back! Did you learn anything new? I definitely think we can change things during this era, but it's tricky figuring out how. Do you have any ideas? I've thought about nothing else for a long time. Go on. It was a very reactionary time. I mean, I realize now more than ever that history is perhaps more about reactions than some sense of linear advancement. I understand, but I'm trying to work out a way to make this society react in a different way. We know the Nerolians came out on top after all this. Maybe we can try to cause a reaction against them to guarantee a different outcome. I'm still not sure how. Have you looked at Dunn's letters? There's something there I haven't been able to figure out. I'm certain of it. If anyone knows how to change the course of society, it's a Cedarist, that's for sure. Yeah, okay. Blame Peer. Oh, blame him for... yes. Okay. Blame him for the war? Blame him for something that happened. Now, did she bring back anything? Because that's what I was hoping for. She didn't bring back a thing. Darn. Okay. Blame him for perhaps destroying the Buddha line? Blame him for something. How do I do that, though? How do I send Jag... What do we have? Blame him for the psychic wound. Is this pro-Nerolianism, though? I don't know. I think I'm concluding that the psychic wound book is anti-Nerolianism. It's like articulating the Nerolian thought, but it's concluding that the result of that is terrible. So, I believe that could be useful to send the psychic wound back to this time period to subvert the Nerolians. Let's try this. Let's try Mons with her determination. Oh wait, no. She's old. Let's try Jag with his determination and violent Nerolianism. That's terrible. Let's just... Who knows? Let's see what happens. Ooh, he's got the Nerolian has the anti-Nerolian book to subvert the Nerolians. And I don't think anything changed because that looks like the same angle. You learn anything new? Definitely think we could change things in this era, but it's tricky to figure out how. Any ideas? Thought about nothing else. Yeah, go on. Ooh, it's exactly the same. Maybe I just go learn. Okay, maybe that's not helpful. Let's go learn about the excess. It's Ula's turn. So let's learn, and we can bring back... Let's take the Bergamus art and see, or learn from the Rosians. Maybe we take back the Rosian schematic to subvert or give to the Rosians. I don't know. Let's just do it. Why not? I've given up trying to succeed in my goal. Ooh, incantations. Ula has gained a... She has a plan. What did you find? A wild world where one really could live as a god, where it was the sensitive who thrived. I'm happy for you, Ula. A god? To need nothing, to live under nobody, the power to change things. I'm sorry, I should really try to be more specific. It's okay, take your time. It's hard because there really is no way to sum such a time up. Everything in adventure. So what'd you do? You know, all this talk of creating a new world, it felt strange to be there with the idea of coming back here, with the goal of trying to build a better future, because the world back then was everything I ever wanted. Expressive, creative, wild, and free. Suppose it should be easy to change things during this era. I think so. Everything was still just an idea. Even Nerolianism was just a vague concept that a few people applied to their tiny corner of the world. Do you have any ideas for how we affect things? I'm not sure. Things are so disconnected and chaotic. Perhaps. Things being so inchoate and fragile might be an advantage of some kind. All these ideas, being so vibrant yet new, could quite easily have been destroyed or subverted before they could even grow. It wouldn't be a question of determination so much as the sensitivity to see who and how these ideas take root. The right destructive or philosophical tool might help as well. I tried. I sent you back with the art to subvert it, didn't I? That didn't work? Nothing changed? Ula? I did everything. Didn't I send you back with... Oh, the Rosian. Oh, yeah, okay. There are no Rosians there. Let's subvert it with Bergamus art, how about? You can do it, sensitive Ula. Subvert them with the power of art. Oh, she's getting old. My sensitive girl is aging. No, nothing changed! You failure of a girl! In a sense, I learned a lot of new things, but in terms of how we might alter the timeline, I only really have one idea. Oh, okay, tell me the idea. The thing which was most noticeable after everything we've seen is how early and thus weak these ideologies... Okay. I don't think it would be very difficult to destroy any of these ideologies entirely during this era. Question is, which one? Some would definitely be more difficult to destroy than others. Cedarism, for instance, its insular nature makes it very hard to root out. But we already know Nerolianism would eventually dominate over all other ideas. What if it wasn't around anymore? Oof. I don't know. I feel like... Ugh. Alright, we'll try it, Ula. We'll try it. Not that one. This one. The artistic one. Alright, Jag. You know what to do, my killer. Oh, wait. He likes Nerolian. Alright, Determinist Mons. Destroy Nerolianism. With what? The psychic wound. Yeah, the psychic wound. Destroy Nerolianism with a psychic wound. Let's try it. She's determined enough to do it. Nothing changed, I don't think. Mons, did you learn anything new? In a sense, I learned a lot of new things, but she only has one idea. Tell me the idea. Destroy the ideology. I don't think it would be that easy. I tried. Sensitive. It requires sensitivity. All right, Ula. I got it now. I didn't think that it required sensitivity. I thought her sensitivity was, oh, not there. Oh yeah, it was there. Sorry. I don't know why. Clearly I was supposed to do this. Kill, destroy, Nerolianism. What did I do before? I learned, or I subverted. Yeah, because I would have thought this sensitivity was more subvert, but okay. Destroy it this time, Ula. Destroy it. It was harder than I thought, but also frighteningly easy. Whew. What was easy? An entire philosophy, a way of living gone, all because of me. You succeeded! Yes, I think so. How did you do it? It was a long process. At first, I used what I knew to gather a small following. We destroyed all Nerolian teachings we could find, often the teachers themselves. You just went around killing them? We instigated situations that would invite Vetiveris to attack them, and manipulated the Bergamists who were responsible for spreading information in this disconnected world. I seduced one of their most prominent writers and convinced him to emphasize physical and emotional gratification over focus. Good job, 81-year-old Ula. You did well. Are you sure? This timeline has changed, but it doesn't seem like a particularly good one. King Adam the 17th? Yes? I have a suggestion, an idea perhaps naive, but one that might change everything. Go on. We spent so much of our lives studying, altering, and now destroying entire philosophies. What about spreading a new one of our own? It wouldn't be too difficult in this era. To what end? What better way to create a better world than to enshrine the values we want in an idea? Yeah, ... What kind of philosophy would we create? Create? No. Haven't our lives given us plenty to draw values from? Plenty to test our principles? Our philosophy will not be created. It already exists in you and everything you've done. You, King Adam the 17th, are nothing but a bundle of principles and steady resolve. You taught us everything. What do you think my principles are? Sacrifice, to put others before oneself, to act for the greater good. Yeah, okay, those are my principles. I know. What do you believe, Ula? That the world should be one of compassion, where the weak and the sensitive are protected. I want a world of beauty and kindness. I like those values too. Good. Do you want to go back to Excess and teach these values? Yes. Would you come back? I don't know. I cannot promise I will. I'll think about it. Definitely. I totally wanted to do that. Let's first of all go see what's happening outside Kronos. Youth and beauty being the ultimate virtues became the ultimate enemy. Death came to the young at the hands of the old. The few who survived their meager youth hope to become one of their oppressors, for they hold the keys to the dilapidated, feeble remnants of civilization. And this world is only death and the struggle to delay it. All right, let's teach. I love Ula's ideas. Let's send Ula back to seed new ideology. To help seed new ideology? Help seed new ideology. Now, what should we give her? Bergamist art? I just like Bergamist. How about Jag's drawing? Oh, Ula, it's been nice knowing you. It was a good life. Hopefully the ideology you seed is a good one. Let's find out. New zealotry, Here is a world created in Ula's name, which takes her sanctimony to the extreme at the expense of her gentleness, compassion, and judgment. Oh no. A world where all semblance of character has been removed, left with nothing but those weak enough to be slaves and those vain enough to enslave them. No. Oh, Ula, you tried. You tried. You did good. All right, let's go backwards from this part. And I think it's easier to change things in the past, but it's more obvious what's going to change from close to the future. I don't know. Maybe just the middle one, a nice balance. Let's send Jag back, the violent Jag. Oh, dear. This is fun. Welcome back, Jag. Thanks, I got lots to tell you. Ula really made a difference. Go on. Her life and the things she had said, recorded by the people around her, had been collected into a confusing archive called the 27 Books. The thing was a mess. Religion? A lot of the ideas we've come across, even at their extremes, have their root in a rational kind of logic, framework of looking at life. Ulaism is different, however. Surely the core of her message of trying to survive remained. Somewhere buried among everything else, perhaps. Ugh. All right, what's with the new diviners? Diviners were those who claimed a profound spiritual connection with Ulaism, a connection with Ula herself even, or the ability to prophesy. Several became quite prominent. How so? Different reasons. 2, maybe 3 dominated by the time I left. Tell me about Verzizo. He had been a burgamist prior. Alright, I like Ver. Alright, what about Arl Jine? Arl was a rough, fiercely intelligent, perhaps mad diviner. He'd been a Vetiveris for many years. Let's just kill him. Alright, tell me about Nez Fair. She was young but quite serious, perhaps shrewd woman. She became immensely popular after predicting the collapse of 2 buildings. She claimed to commune with Ula directly. Alright, so how did Ulaism absorb other philosophies? Well, other people saw and interpreted it for their own purposes. Whatever your stance, Ulaism had captured so much of culture that you had to engage with it. Well done, Jag. You ready to go kill... what's his name? Oof. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to make it back if you send me off again. Why? Look at me. I'm old. There's life in you yet? I don't know. He's jaded. Darn. Maybe I should have told him something else. Wow. Okay. Let's change. Oh, we can't change. Oh, I thought we were going to be able to get some Ulaism. Wait. Were we not Pachulianism? When did we switch away from Pachulianism? Whoops. Alright, we'll Pachulianism now. Alright, so let's see here. We could... It was Nez Fair that I didn't like? No, it was Arl Jine. Send Jag back to kill Arl Jine. Should we give him something? He's not going to come back. So let's give him the incantations. Goodbye, jaded Jag. I don't know if he's going to succeed. Oh, it looks like he does not. He did not succeed. Dang. Should have given him a weapon or something. Well, let's send Mons to the near past. This is our last chance. This is our last chance. Oh, you look terrible. This is not any kind of world that Ula would want. I know what happened. A decade of misery, of torture and pain, the worst of humanity celebrated and rewarded, a world so dreadful even death could be desired. Look at me, Mons. I envy you, King Adam the 17th. Envy? Not having to endure something like that. I'm sure you could have, but tell me what happened. I realized early on that this was a world without freedom, a world of complete domination, hierarchy, the Church of Ula and its many rungs at the top, then those in its favor, and the rest of us existing as the mere flesh that they grind daily for their sustenance, for their amusement to fill the deficiencies in their souls. There was nothing but worship there, supposedly of Ula, but really of those whose pretense was to understand her, ruled by fear. Tortured until you could sound only noises, your noises interpreted as heresies, constantly, relentlessly, until they made us as wretched as them, chairing the gallows, trusting their stations. Mons, dang girl. All of that, and they expect you to be grateful, their grace, no earthly torture like the eternity of metal rain which awaits us at death. Ha, I've been in the rains, and I preferred them. Oh, you were tortured? 3 times, but I survived. I cracked a little after the 3rd, my mind gone after a while. But I found it, my mind and much more. Ooh, what did you find? The heresies they feared. They knew only sadism. Power had made them dim-witted. I found the real Ulaists, the one who maintained the thread reaching back to her life. What do you mean? When Ula died, the vein around her wrote memoirs, while others preserved her body. Perhaps some of them knew of the Cedarist attempts at immortality. They preserved her with the aim of resurrection. That's how they understood her message of survival, the endurance of beauty of Ula herself. They kept her body? Yes, and endeavored to resurrect her. Impossible. No, it is possible. At great expense and great risk and great effort, all of which they are capable of. They lack only one thing, a missing element. Perhaps in some lost document, perhaps obscured by the obfuscations of the 27 books written upon Ula's death. Every day they endeavored to discover it if it still exists, and if they are not eradicated before it happens. Can you learn what this missing element is? Even the heretics don't precisely know. They risk their lives to secure banished texts for the answer. So the answer lies in the past? I think so. I hope so. Thank you, Mons. Yes, King Adam? I mean, yes, Mons? Yes? I'm frightened. Why? I don't think I'm quite up to this anymore. I'm going to send you back somewhere nice, Mons, to a time you can live the rest of your life well. No, don't leave me. I'm not going to leave you, Mons. I'm looking after you. It's true. I know you care about me, King Adam. I know. Well, we're screwed. We're screwed. Was this a nice place? Actually, no, this is going to be the nice place. Let's send Mons. She's not coming back, but we're sending her to a nice place, and maybe she'll change things just by her presence. And I fear this is the end. We emerge from the bunker. Unless a miracle happens. Nope. We're all alone. Oh, we've gotten... Oh, maybe we should have sent her back. Oh, dear. Political poster. There's so much more to this game. But I can't do anything. Wow. Alright, what's the heretical myth? In the beginning, there was nothing on earth but the eternal reign of metal. King Adam the 17th commanded Ula to create a new world, and she did, and it was beautiful. But King Adam 17th saw that this was not a world he could survive in, for he was born of the metal rains, and so he killed Ula before she could finish it. Now King Adam the 17th gathers his will until he may bring about his kingdom of rain again. But Ula's grace lives on within us. She wants us to overcome, to resist, and to carry forth her beauty despite all challenges, so that she may be resurrected, slay the King of Rain, and complete the world she gave us. Goodness gracious! That is not what happened. Let's just stare at this Bergamist art. Ah, that's nice. I'm sorry we couldn't get the Bergamists in charge. But it's over. We can't assign anyone. Can I can't send myself back, huh? Well, there's nothing else for it. We must leave the bunker into a world created in Ula's name, which takes her sanctimony to the extreme. All semblance of character has been removed. There are only those weak enough to be slaves and those vain enough to enslave them. Am I vain enough to enslave? I don't know. Let's find out. The last zealotry, huh? Maybe it's better than Metal Rain. It was a good ending in any case. Not a pleasant ending, but a good storytelling ending, right? We've prevented the end of the world so many ways. There was Metal Rain, then the plants that killed everyone. And then we got to some weird sirens who were controlling everyone. And then finally, Ulaism, the great religion that we started and that, became just the worst. Well, that was fun. I'm going to keep playing and trying for better endings. Probably something we can do to have a happy ending, right? Probably. That's going to be it for this game on this channel. Y'all go get the game, play it for yourself. It's more fun to play it for yourself. I don't have much more to say. Y'all take care.